Namaskar, a very good evening to all of you. On behalf of Export Promotion Council for Handicrafts, I welcome you all to today's knowledge session on sustainable textiles and home accents, trend and spaces for growth. Having successfully organized its first virtual fair, IFJAS, just recently, EPCS is set to organize yet another virtual fair in these testing times. IHGF Textiles Fair is going virtual and the days are from 15th to 18th of June 2020. As a prelude to that, we have this knowledge session led by 3S team. 3S provides strategic sourcing solutions to retailers and distributors in home industry with over 15 years of business and an amazing dynamic team on board. Their vision is to take the best of India to the world. Once again, I welcome you all and a special welcome to Mr. Naveedur Rahman, Vice Chairman, EPCH. He has just joined in. We have with us Mr. R.K. Verma, Executive Director, EPCH. Welcome, sir. And we would also be joined shortly by Chairman EPCH, Mr. Ravi Pasi, Vice Chairman EPCH, Mr. Rajkumar Malhotra, DG EPCH and Chairman IEML, Shri Rakesh Kumar. And we also have with us our eminent panelists, Mr. Deepak Gaba, founder and CEO of 3S. Welcome, Deepak ji. You will be our first presenter. And your presentation will be followed by Fiona Caulfield, a renowned name in this field. Fiona, welcome. And we will also have a presentation by Mr. Jayesh Saxena, known for his creative innovations in the field of textiles. So without any further ado, I request Mr. Deepak Gaba to make his presentation. Before that, I'd like to briefly introduce him to all our viewers. Mr. Deepak Gaba is the founder and CEO of 3S. He is an experienced and qualified international business expert. He holds an MBA in international business from Delhi School of Economics, a premier institute of India. Highly skilled in strategic management for growth with a proven track record of taking startups to multi-million-dollar sourcing from India. 3S has been custom sourcing, providing custom sourcing solutions to home industry since 2001. And I request Mr. Deepak Gaba to start his presentations.
Thank you, Mriduji.
Thank you.
I'd like to start by welcoming all the audiences here from different parts of the world. So good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to all my friends and from the industry, dignitaries from EPCH, and members from the trade and industry. Today we have got together 3S team to address few important issues for home industry, which is like sustainability and how to find growth. So before we jump into the webinar and start the presentation, I would like to thank Mr. Rakesh Kumar, DG of EPCH, and the team, excellent team that he has, that gave us the opportunity to present this knowledge sharing seminar. And I have known Mr. Kumar for a long time. His passion, his vision, and his drive is unmatchable. You know, we always look up to him when it comes to get some energy and positivity. And in the last 1.5 months, the kind of effort and initiative that has been put by EPCH team in bringing the virtual platform on board, getting the webinars on board, and now the trade shows on board, it's a great step. And it has given all people like us to come forward and share our experience and knowledge, and also to create business now. So in this presentation, we'll also be talking about the textile fair, which is starting from 15. So now I would like to jump into the presentation without taking much of your time. Just give me a minute to share my screen. So I have with me Today, Fiona, who is the creative director, and she's based in UK. Fiona has immense experience in creative field, and she has basically covered the whole length and breadth of retail trade in home, starting with John Lewis, spending a lot of time there and working with the major retail chains there. She brings amazing experience, hands-on experience, and a great combination of creativity and commercial acumen. So she'll be speaking later on related to the green spaces of growth that we have identified through which we can come out of this COVID crisis and catch some, make the business going forward. Then we have with us Jayesh. Jayesh is on our panel, and he takes care of the textile part of the business, and he has uh, immense experience in textile, and he has worked with the major textile mills in India, and he is a pro in bedding, and he will be talking about the important things in sustainability related to textiles. And as far as my introduction goes, I've been running 3 years since last 15 years. We started in 2001, so it's more than 15 years now. We have about 50 people on board. And what we do is make life easy for our customers by bringing them to the right sources in India. So moving forward, agenda for today is introduction to the virtual textile fair by Team EPCH. This will come later down in the presentations. That will be taken by Mriduji. 5 C's to success by Deepak. This I will jump into. This is the critical space, how we can beat this big C of COVID. I'll talk about it, and then Fiona will take over to talk about the green spaces. And then Jayesh will finish it off with the key subject of sustainability, and he'll dig into the hard part of it. What are the standards and what are the needs? So key takeaway for our audience from this knowledge sharing seminar would be, what are the new spaces for growth in home and lifestyle industry? What is sustainability? Why is it necessary? How we can get there? Technical standards and certifications for sustainability. Where to go when you want to source it from India? And then 5 C's to success by 3 years. So 5 C's for success, I mean, this is what makes happy business. To make it easy for audience to understand, I was thinking like how I could finish it off in one slide. So this is what I could think of. Customer, where is he? What he needs? Competence in all the functions of the business, be it marketing, HR, operations, sourcing, procurement, supply chain management. Every business has got multiple functions. We need to take care of that. Where is the problem? Identifying the gaps in the functions and focusing on it and controlling it. Creativity, the ideas which takes us forward, the positive change, the green spaces for growth. If we have this 3 areas and 3 C's, then we have a happy business. All of us are happy. This is what was there a couple of months back until we had this fourth C, COVID bomb dropped on us. Now, this we were not expecting. This we were not expecting, and nobody was ready. It took away happiness. It took away the customers. It took away the competencies. Took away the green spaces for growth. So now we are just left with COVID, unease, and unhappiness. How to get out of it? So to get out of it, we need two more C's. This is, I talked about the disruption part of the COVID, which is like it took away the customer, the sales are gone, supply chain is disrupted, manpower is disrupted, and the life is disrupted. So how to clear this disruption from our life? We need another C's. And the first C is care. So care for the customer, care for the team, and care for self. And bring consciousness. Consciousness means that we have humanity. We are conscious about humanity, and we are conscious about nature. So when we are conscious, we can come up with great ideas and creativity. So from here, I would like Fiona to take over and talk about the green spaces for growth. Thank you. Please, Fiona, take over from here.
You just stop your screen, Deepak, and I'll take over.
Yeah, it's here. You carry on,
Okay.
please.
Sorry, bear with me. Okay, so great, thank you very much, and lovely to talk to you all today. So as Deepak was saying, when COVID came along, when the COVID pandemic came along, it shook up everything that we know about retail. You know, all of the shops closed, transport ground to a halt, we were unable to socialise, and really the world stopped for us. But something really special started to happen behind the scenes, and our wildlife started to wake up. Mother Nature started to take more control of our environment, and the thick fog of pollution started to lift, and landfill sites suddenly started to become emptier. And as the planet started to smile, I think those of us that are lucky enough to be fit and well and healthy were able to start looking at the lives that we were living, and to start thinking about maybe how we could do things a little bit differently. And this really started to affect me, because I started to think a lot more about the way that I have been operating in my business sense over the last few years. And I've always been really passionate about trends and developing new products and thinking about what is new and interesting for the marketplace. And I've been quite obsessed with trends and working season to season, really always looking at what new products we could bring to market as quickly as possible. But what COVID's taught me is that seasonal trends.
I'm sorry, Fiona, if you could just share your screen with us, please. Your presentation screen.
Okay. Bear with me, sorry.
There it is.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So as I was saying, what really struck me is that I wanted to stop really thinking about trends as I've known them, really thinking about seasonal shifts from one season to the next, and really start to look at how that affects me, and how I really think that actually seasonal trends don't really have so much space for growth in the long term. So I started to think about what really matters. And this then takes me into the presentation that I'd like to share with you today. I started to think a lot more about what really has happened to all of us while we've gone through the COVID pandemic. And there are lots of different states that have really challenged us, whether that be through physical, where we can move, where we can go, can we go to work, do we have to stay at home, can we visit our friends and family? And then that's had an effect on our mental well-being. It's made us really think about how we actually need to live day to day, given that our health is at risk, and big elements of our lives are severely compromised, which then has an emotional impact as well. And I think it's hit all of us in so many different ways that we could probably never have envisaged before. And what that has also then produced is a new sense of awareness. So as Mother Nature has started to flourish and really started to open up again, this has really challenged us to actually look at the complete environment that sits outside, that is untouchable, and that really we should have a little bit more respect for. And this has really then led me to thinking about what we all need to survive in life. And that really is the foundation then for where I see product development coming in the future, and is equally where I see lots of areas for opportunity and for growth. So today then, I'd like to take you through each of these four areas in turn, and just have a look at where the green spaces are for potential growth and development. So moving on then, the first
Fiona, I think Deepak ji.
Yeah, I think there is some problem with the screen. We lost connection with her.
Can you call her?
Yeah, I will call her and check because I think there is some internet connection there problem. Please bear with us.
So as we get our connection back to Fiona, let me take this time to introduce her to all of you. Deepak ji very briefly gave us Fiona's introduction. Well, she's a former senior buyer for John Lewis and head of buying for Hobbycraft and Laura Ashley. She has established a reputation for turning over highly successful retail strategies, range plans, and products that are developed and delivered timely and to a high standard. Having headed the buying departments for some of the UK's leading retail brands, Fiona now consults on an international level. Understanding people is at the heart of what Fiona does. While she carries exacting standards, she always seeks to empower others, inspire positive change, and stoke a passion for international product development. From her point of view, retail requires dynamism, so she's always on the lookout for what's new, finding ways to adapt quickly, and has a love for commercializing innovations. So today she is talking specifically about the green spaces that can be created for growth in this testing times where the pandemic, where COVID-19 has just taken over our lives. She was in the midst of giving her presentation, but I think there is some problem with her internet connection, maybe. So
Mriduji, if there is I think this continues, then we could jump to the second topic, that is sustainability. So I would request Jayesh to take over and come to sustainability. And when Fiona is able to connect back, we can start from where she leaves. So we'll have to play this game a little bit. This is the problem of good thing and bad thing.
Jayesh Saxena is also a very renowned name in this field. He's a BTech in textile technology from Technological Institute of Textile and Sciences, and he's got 25 years of experience working with major textile mills in India. He has held different leadership positions at Trident, Indocount, and Welspun, and today he's here to enumerate on sustainable textiles. Over to you, Mr. Jayesh Saxena.
Yeah, thank you, Mridu. Thank you for that. And I'm very sorry about losing Fiona on the internet.
We'll get her back.
I will get her back. Till the time, I think I'll just jump on to my presentation, which Fiona was actually going to hand over to me. My role today is to discuss about sustainability in particular.
Jayesh, actually, sorry to disturb. Fiona is back. She's online. She just sent me a message. You like to check if she's there before you jump into
I think it's better because it disturbs the flow.
So, Mriduji, can you check if she's there and you could put her back online?
No, she's not there on the screen.
I can't see her on the screen.
Okay, because she just sent me a WhatsApp that she's on and she can hear everything. So, I mean, I don't know. So
Fiona, you'll have to, if you can hear us, you'll have to switch on your video.
Manish, can you hear me?
She's there now. I have moved her.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Fiona, we lost you for a bit.
Welcome back, Fiona.
I'm so sorry, I'm back. Okay.
You have to share your screen, Fiona.
Yes, can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
Back to Fiona again.
Okay, so we were talking about physical acts, going out, making any movement either inside your home or outside your home worth it. And so we've been looking a lot at how to develop the perfect home office in your own environment. We've been looking at the need to keep fit and healthy and to work out. And we've also been looking at how a basic function like walking has actually become such a powerful tool to us at the moment. So let's look at each one of these in turn as an opportunity. So going to the office may mean literally walking to the other side of the room. So we've seen a huge opportunity in being able to develop new pieces of furniture, accessories, lighting, etc., to make your own home office work. Now, not everybody is lucky enough to have a separate room in the home that they can convert into a work from home location. And so what we're looking at is how we can develop some very interesting solutions. If you look on the right-hand side of my slide here, we are looking at designing and developing furniture that is modular, that can be utilised for lots of different purposes, and that you can add a laptop to and move a chair into position and work from home. Or having one of these really smart devices whereby you have a cupboard that sits on your wall, and when you drop down the cupboard, there's actually a fully functioning desk underneath. What we've also been thinking about is that this provides us all with a really unique opportunity to personalise our workspace. You know, for many years, we've all had to travel to a communal office that's not necessarily decorated just as we would like it. And now we see a huge opportunity to be able to design and define the way that you want to work and decorate the space just the way that you like it. And when you've finished working, everybody wants to do more workouts now. And there are so many of the top athleisure companies that are really getting behind this and all contributing to Zoom workouts just as we're talking to each other today, and building together fantastic collections of products, thinking about how you can utilize some of the items that you might already have in your home, but being able to add some very useful additional pieces into your homes too. So what we're looking at is how we can design and develop new, if we just take yoga as a concept, how we can integrate yoga into your home so that maybe you have a coffee table that has some storage solutions attached to it, so that you don't end up with your yoga mat and all of the accessories lying around your house, that everything is really considered and it's easy to exercise from home. And I know so many of my own friends now are saying, do you know what, in the future, I don't need a gym membership anymore. I can save the money and I want to do my own workout my own way at home. And then moving on to our man's best friend, our dogs, cats, animals, all the creatures that we choose to domesticate and bring into our home environment. So for me, I have 3 dogs and they're all really special to me, and I treat them as part of my family. And what we've discovered during this time is that there's been such an increased demand for pet-related products. And in some cases, that's about leads and leashes and collars for being able to take your dogs and cats, in some cases, out for a walk, but also thinking about their walking from a personal perspective. So making sure that you've got the flask to carry your water, to maintain your hydration, or having a crossbody bag so that you can carry your accessories with you without having, and swing your arms while you're walking, without having to carry too much on your back or in your hands. So we see a huge area of opportunity here. Interestingly, a lot of data shows that during the COVID pandemic, there has been a huge increase in global adoptions and fostering of animals, because so many people are finding solace in having a friend in their home when they can't invite friends or family in to socialise with them. So then moving on from the physical into the mental and mindful wellness. I think this is a really big area that we've all been hit with in so many different ways. We all thought that having an extended period of time at home would be easy, but I think we've all found that it's actually challenged us in ways that we never thought very, very possible. And so what we've been looking at is a lot of product concepts that really promote healthy mental well-being, and what that really looks like. So everybody knows about eating healthily, sleeping well, remembering to breathe deeply and enjoy your life. But there's so many different ways that can stop that from happening. And I just want to explore some of those through our green space developments. Equally, there are lots of areas where you think that you have established a very peaceful routine at home, but what the prolonged period of being in your home has probably highlighted is that there are things that you do in your house that really adds to your unpeaceful unrest. And then as we look forward to the whole process of looking after yourself, so this has been a real period of actually thinking carefully about me and really giving ourselves a bit of focus on our own well-being. And so whether that be through self-preservation, such as looking after ourselves with health and safety equipment, or learning something new and really getting our minds to sort of open up and be ready to accept some new information. So to look at those each in turn, the first one I'm going to look at is well-being. So we all know, as I said earlier, that well-being comes from sleeping well, eating well, and being in a safe and happy environment. But I don't think any of us realise just how much that environment has to perform for us. And keeping our environments clean, tidy, well organised actually really improves our mental state. And so what we've been looking at is that cleaning and keeping our homes healthy and safe, it's not just about buying into chemicals and using up large quantities of water. It's about having products that we enjoy using, products that make us think, I want to keep my home clean and tidy. So we're adding some fashionability into these products. These are products that you might actually want to keep out on display and show off because they actually look so good. We've then looked at peaceful living, and really I believe that's all about having a really organised mind. If you've been in your home for many weeks on end and you just end up looking at piles of clutter and disorganised chaos in areas of your home, it suddenly starts to build up a tense feeling and a pressure. And the more you can do to relieve that is by adding some organisation into your home life, making sure that you've got fresh towels that are ready every morning so that when you shower or bathe, you just feel clean and you feel ready to face the day. And we all have lots of possessions in our homes, but making sure that they're all, having their own place, well organised and stored away in some attractive storage ideas like the jars or wicker baskets like I've presented here. There are so many different ways that you can start to put some organisation into your home that will just make living a really peaceful life so much more straightforward. And then in terms of self-preservation, I mean, everybody nowadays carries the hand gel and probably wears a mask. But there'll come a point where this will become such a norm that we start to want a little bit more from each of these items. We start to recognise that we carry them everywhere, but we want to make a bit more of a fashion statement from each of these products. So we've been busily working behind the scenes on moving the PPE from being a very functional item into something really cool, really desirable, and something that appeals to all demographics and all ages of society, because this is our new normal. And then the final section of mental well-being is really looking at giving yourself something back. It's about unlocking new potential. It's not necessarily about jumping up your career ladder at work or doing something for your children or for other family members, but it's about saying, what can I do in my life? What can I do that allows me to learn and develop something new? I think we've all been hit by the number of people that have been posting on Facebook the cakes that they've baked or the bread that they've made. And I know so many people that have started to write or sing or try and develop talents that they didn't even know that they had. And what we've been looking at is how we can bring some of these activities into the market in such a way that people can learn something new but make something really beautiful as a result of it. So we're busy working on all sorts of new equipment that can go in the kitchen and to more fun elements like this, where we can look at crafting in terms of knitting, sewing, stitching, as being a really interesting pastime to learn. So then we move on to the emotional connections. And obviously this is something that we're all very familiar with. So we've all spent prolonged periods in our homes. And I'm sure if you're anything like me, you've all spent time thinking, as soon as I can get back out to the shops, I really must buy some new cushions, or I really must change my room around and rethink how I want to live in my space. And so what we've identified is that cozy living, being somewhere that feels safe, cozy, and when you're in your own personal cocoon, is a really special thing. So we've been looking in detail at how we can develop that. No more so than now do we really value that feeling of togetherness, where we actually want to spend time with our friends and family, and we want to extend that period of being able to talk and being able to share. We've had that cut from our lives for such a long time now that the minute that we can all get back together, we will want to celebrate it. And whether that's coming to a meal, or whether it's looking at some of the key events that happen throughout the year, whether that be Christmas or one of the very many different seasonal events that happen all over the world, I think over the next few years, they will be celebrated in a very, very big way. And then the final section that I want to talk through in this in a bit more detail is about longevity. It's about being able to create products being able to create products that actually are built to last, that represent best in class, that represent craft and something with real meaning. So let's have a look at each of these in a little bit more detail. So the first one, in terms of cozy living, in the UK, we talk a lot about hunkering down, which really means just wrapping yourself in a big blanket and feeling warm, safe and cozy in your own home. So whether that be with a whole new set of cushions and throws, or a new sofa, or a complete new room, we've recognised that so many of our customers really want to beef up their offer in terms of products that allow customers to hunker down and feel safe at home. So we've actually looked at this in a lot of detail, and we've developed a whole new concept, which is called Home in a Box, which is about putting all of the different elements together that customers will want to create the perfect home environment. And this is a really well thought through, completely curated collection of products from start to finish. So yeah, I'm extremely excited about this one. And then the same applies really to all of the opportunities to celebrate. So I think gone are the days where retailers will open a category and just trade a seasonal collection for a few weeks and then close it down and that's finished. So for something like Christmas, I think this is going to become a very holistic celebration. So it will be about all of the different experiential elements of celebrating a key milestone in the year, and how we as manufacturers and product designers can really get under the skin of what a customer is looking for, and how we can deliver them a complete experience that will make that occasion extremely memorable. And then in terms of togetherness and making meal times count, I mean, there's so many ways of looking at togetherness, but I think making meal times really become part of that celebration is an incredibly critical one. So whether it's about saying grace before you start to eat, or providing a menu, and just really putting a lot of time and thought into how you want to present a complete idea. So one of the key areas we've been looking at is actually how to set a table for dinner so that it's a really amazing experience, not to be forgotten. And I would say the first dinner that a family will have together once we completely exit COVID and we're all safe and happy again will be an extremely memorable occasion. And so we're looking a lot at what we call tablescapes, which is where you really design and curate a table with so many different details, and you're really telling a story through the whole experience of eating that meal together. And then the final stage here is all about creating products that are designed and built to last. So we've got a really strong mission at 3S, which is about looking at promoting the act of buying less, but that where we persuade our customers to really carefully consider what they buy it once and buy it well, because we're that confident that the products that we've designed and made will be fit for purpose and will be something that will last and stand the test of time. So our mantra is very much buy it, love it, and keep that cycle rolling. So then the final section that I want to take you through is all about sensory perceptions. And this is really where Mother Nature has started to educate us again. So Mother Nature has really started to reawaken our senses by stimulating thought through just noticing more of what is around us, exploring new ideas. So I've learned some new words during this period, veggetecture, which is almost how vegetation has sort of architectural connotations, how it teaches us something new, and that the more you look at nature, the more you can learn. But we have a job, if we are designing and developing and bringing new products to market, that we can help share the meaning of these products with our customers, whether that be through the retailer or directly to the customer. So we need to be able to express exactly what the features, benefits, and unique reasons to purchase each of those products are. The customer is now looking for a narrative. They want to understand what they're buying. And that really brings the final stage, which is all about being extremely mindful. So everybody needs to think a little bit more about what they're doing. So let's have a little bit of a closer look at some of these ideas. So in terms of being inspired by nature, I love this image of all of the different colours, textures that can come out of Mother Nature. So there is no colour that we can design and develop in the world that hasn't already been created by Mother Nature. And what I'm looking at is how we can create colours, materials and finishes that really extract all of the best parts from Mother Nature. And a new word for us to really consider is biophilia, which basically means a complete love of nature. So we have all got so much to be thankful for. If we're all fit and well, then we've got so much to be thankful for. And Mother Nature is now surrounding us with the most beautiful environment to grow and flourish. So biophilia is about respecting that nature and being mindful of what it's teaching us, and for us to make sure that we're not going to cause it irreparable damage in the future. So provenance, where has it come from? We want to spread the word a lot more about the fantastic products that we are part of the life cycle of, and being able to unlock the story of it and share that. You know, for many years, there's been too many secrets around how things are made, where they've come from. And I think nowadays, you know, we just want more openness, more honesty, more transparency. And that helps us as a whole industry of manufacturing to be held to account for what we're doing and how we're doing it. Because basically, consumers are very suspicious and they're willing to question authenticity and process. You know, we know that they're increasingly against landfill, you know, the waste that may be produced during manufacturing, shipping, and products that end up with a limited or disposable end use. And really part of our mission at 3S is to really start to disrupt and destroy that throwaway culture. We want to make sure that what we're doing is fit for purpose, it will stand the test of time, and that we don't harm the planet in any actions that we take. So fundamentally, you know, our stance is about having no compromise. You know, we have to respect the needs of our consumers and to make sure that they are, their questions are being answered. So at Hometex in January of this year, we presented a big collection of products that we called Nature. And these were really about picking out the colours, the materials, the finishes, the sustainable credentials, the manufacturing processes, and really the technical detail that sits behind how so many of these products are made. And we had an absolutely overwhelming response to this. And it's really now formed the basis of where we are taking our sourcing journey at 3S in the future. And so we've just got a couple of slides here just to show you some of the products that we launched there. But now we want to start looking in a bit more detail at the sort of seriousness of this, And I'm going to hand over to Jayesh, who's going to tell us more about the need to be extremely conscious, to really think about what we're doing, what our customers need, and how we can convey those messages with real clarity and authenticity. So, Jayesh, if you're ready, I'm going to stop my screen sharing and hand it over to you.
Thank you, Fiona. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. Well, mankind has adapted to changes since time immemorial, and this is what one will have to do again. Home access can be more practical, more convenient, closer to nature, and the me time during pandemic has given a new meaning to our lives, our well-being, and our outlook. Along with being functional, as Fiona just mentioned, the products still can have a fashionable edge, and that's what the experts are trying to do now, and they're exploring new ideas, trying to make products cater to holistic living and products that are inspired by nature. Now, as Fiona also mentioned, we are moving to Mr. Jayesh Saxena. Well, sustainability is the key to our survival on this planet. And that's what he is going to talk about, how this sustainability can be incorporated in our textiles. Mr. Jayesh.
Yeah, thank you, Mridu, and thanks, Fiona, for your positive
Jayesh, one
words.
thing, before we move on to your presentation, if anyone has any questions of Fiona, you can start writing those questions in QA section. Yeah, Jayesh.
Okay. I think, Rajesh, you were mute when you spoke. Can you say it
Now,
again?
see, what I'm saying is, before we move on to you, if anyone having any questions for Fiona, you can write it down in the QA section. Yeah,
Okay.
Jayesh. Now, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Fiona. Thank you, Mridu, for handing over the presentation to me, and thank you, Fiona, for your excellent presentation and positivity about the situation right now, which is turning this disaster situation into opportunities. I think it's a great thought in terms of what can be the new normal and what can be the new products. Very clearly, I mean, we can see what this pandemic has taught us about caring for our home, at the same time also caring for the nature. I think people have definitely become more aware uh, before this situation of COVID, and now, if we consider, I think many countries were very much forward on this, especially talking about UK and Europe. I think people were very much aware, but in some parts of the world, sustainability was yet something which was being talked about, but yes, not to that great extent. Um, uh, Going forward, it is very, very clear that sustainability is something which is going to be very, very important, not really a statement or a strategy, but a need to go to live a better life, which has always been the word of sustainability. So, what is sustainability? I mean, I'm just going back to the uh, high school definition of sustainability, which is like to maintain the balance of ecology and basically to create and to source everything, but not by destroying the nature, not by destroying the resources. So there have been numerous examples in the past where civilizations have destroyed their own ecology around them and damaged their own, and seriously, I mean, damaged their own environment, and they have really spoiled their chances of survival, and there are many civilizations which have been extinct because of this. So when we say this, there are basically three pillars of the sustainability which are very, very clear: economic development, social development, and environmental protection. Am I not audible? Mridu, am I not audible?
You are audible, but there is some kind of disturbance when you speak.
Is it better now?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So basically, there are three pillars of sustainability, which is economic development, social development, and environmental protection. So economic development is all about getting the resources, but really not compromising on the quality of life that you are creating for the future generations. Social development is more about awareness of the legislative protection. So whatever you are doing in terms of manufacturing capabilities or your operations or anything, it's not really denying the legislative the law of the land. And environmental protection is very much clear that everybody has to participate in the protection of the climatic changes and protection of the pollution. So some really great facts about textile industry, not really textile industry, it's about the textiles. So not many people are aware that cotton, we always think that cotton is a natural fiber and it must be very eco-friendly to use cotton, but not many of us know that 5,000 gallons of water go into production of one pair of cotton shirt or pants. And if I take it in perspective of home textiles, if it's a sheet set or probably a quilt cover set, which is a 2.2 kilos of cotton in it, you would need more than 40,000 liters of water to produce it, which is an exorbitant amount of water. And almost 25,000 liters of water only goes into growing of cotton for that sheet set. So it's really an enormous number. And if you look at the global use of pesticide, 11% of the pesticide globally produced for any kind of farming are being used only for cotton plants. That's a big deal. It's a big amount of pesticides going into it. And about 10.5 million tons of clothing, which is like after we use it and we throw it, ends up into landfill every year. So these are some enormous kind of facts about textiles. If you look at plastic, it is even bad. So no one can even think about the number of PET bottles. Like we drink everything like from PET bottle. A lot of PET bottles have been used. 1 million PET bottles are consumed every minute. Can you believe it? It's 1 million PET bottles being used every minute. And PET bottles like plastic, it takes more than 450 years to decompose. So we could think that the first bit of plastic that was produced on this earth is still there. Still there, buried somewhere. It ends into landfill or into the oceans and cleanly destroys the ecological balance of our earth. So there are some numbers over here. So we can say 30 years hence, there will be more plastic in the oceans than the amount of fish, the kilograms of fish in it. So this is the scary figure that we can think about. Again, looking at recycling of clothing. Not many people know that clothing is also like plastic. If we look about, we talk about polyester or synthetic fibers, which are a big part of the clothing or the home textile or any kind of textiles, is non-biodegradable. And so what we need to do is recycle it. So, but if we look at the fact today, only 15% of the post-consumer textiles is being recycled. So there's a huge lot of textiles which is getting into landfills or some other kind of pollution to the land. So what's the way forward? The way forward is to look towards the circular economy. So what do we need to do? We need to reduce, reuse, and recycle. And to do that, we need to refurbish, reinvent, and repair. So basically, these are the keywords or the activities that we need to definitely go forward for. And that is what is called circular economy, in terms of the fact that whatever has been already produced has to somehow go back into the life cycle again. So we need to upscale things, we need to reuse things, we need to repair things, We just don't need to throw them. So that is the part which is very, very, very essential, and people are getting aware of that. People are getting aware of that, but let us discuss some of the facts, some of the methods that we are already using. The good textile industry players, or I would say manufacturers, are already big way into these initiatives. Let us discuss a few of the initiatives which are already there in the industry. People know about these words, but I just want to emphasize on it a bit of detail on what it is and how it works. So let us first take up the word Ocotex. Being in the textile industry, manufacturing, I think many of us know about Ocotex. Ocotex is an organization uh, which helps identifying harmless chemicals and stuff. So they have been there for long years, and they have been accrediting mills for various kinds of standards. However, they came up with something called Ocotex STEP certification, which is what? I mean, STEP certification is actually, it can be taken by any company throughout the supply chain. It can be a fiber manufacturer, a spinning mill, a weaving mill, finishing, a cut and sew mill, or it can be an integrated mill, or it can be at different stages. STEP has a scoring system which is not only on the basis of chemicals right now. So it used to be chemicals when it was in the earlier days, but now it is something which is gone way ahead, and they are actually monitoring your or scoring you on basis of all the uh, all the various parameters, or they're scoring you on environmental performance, your health and safety issues, social responsibilities, on a holistic issue, how a factory is performing holistically on the complete supply chain. So if it's an integrated facility, all the more better, because then you are, if you are starting with, say, spinning, if you're, most of the factories who call them integrated completely are starting from spinning and ending up in the finished product state, which is either a home textile or any type of clothing or garment. So if we look at that, they are actually certifying, auditing everything from the complete supply chain. So it's basically, STEP certification is a very robust and transparent, reliable method of B2B communication. So here, when we are getting our factory or our supply chain accredited by STEP certification, what we mean to say is that we are conveying it from B2B. For example, if we are selling to a major retailer, say in US or UK or anywhere in the world, and we are STEP certified, we are conveying it to the retailer that yes, we are certified and we are taking care of everything that is required in terms of chemical and other types of sustainable measures. In addition to that, Ocotex is also giving you a label called Made in Green. So Made in Green, many people know about already, and it's a label which can be actually put onto a packaging. It has a unique ID or unique QR code which is there on every product, which gives you the information, which gives the end consumer the information on where the fabric or the garment or the finished product was made, and whether that factory is certified by Ocotex standard 100 and STEP by Ocotex. So it's a B2C communication. It's a great way of communicating to your consumer. So going forward, if you find a product in the market and it says Made in Green, you are sure that it's coming from a factory which is conscious, which knows about the environment. It takes care of all the important parts, starting from the start of the chemicals, or how they manage the water, how they manage the effluent, how they manage the supply chain, everything. So this is the Made in Green label. So this is about Ocotex. Ocotex is doing great job in getting the certification. So B2B and B2C, both kinds of communication is possible using these kind of accreditations. Now let's come to organic products, and which is a very, very big sustainable measure which was taken up. I think organic products became very, very popular like 15 years back, and there were various organizations which came up. Finally, it was GOTS, which is a standard of Global Organic Textile Standard, which finally is an agency which is actually non-profit agency which actually accredits you for the production of organic products. When we come to organic products in textiles, we are not talking about food, we are talking about cotton primarily, I would say cotton. And here they have various standards, and based on the standards we have to maintain the segregation of the material through the process chain, throughout the factory, wherever we store the material, as well as whatever chemicals or whatever product we are manufacturing, whatever chemicals we are using have to be got certified. When they say got certified, they have certain standards which will not spoil the thing. Starting going back to the fiber production, which is the most important part of GOTS. So any factory can get GOTS approved by maintaining certain standards, by using GOTS certified chemicals. But it goes back to the provenance of the material, where the cotton is coming from. So the field has to be GOTS approved, field has to be an organic field, which is sanitized for more than 3 years, and so till when you cannot call it a 100% organic cotton or an organic cotton. In addition to that, I think most of the people already know this part, but let me take up an important part of genetic modification, which came in really late in the day, wherein people talk about the GMO. So it is about the genetically modified organisms. So a lot of cotton grown across the world is actually genetically modified seeds, which helps the seed to get better in terms of the yield. So the cotton which comes out from a GMO seed is better in the parameters or specifications. So you can have a finer, more mature, nicer fiber, which is longer in staple length as well. So you can manufacture a better cotton product, better or the finer thread counts. However, genetic modification has not been accepted, and it's basically organic cotton is expected not to contain any genetically modified content. So basically, if there is a cotton which is genetically modified seed, it cannot be labeled as 100% organic cotton, which is a well-known fact now and has to be adhered to. Which comes to the position that when we manufacture the 100% organic cotton product, there it has to come from a seed which is not genetically modified, which means that we are going to have some kind of a restriction on what is the finest count or what is the finest or the highest thread count that we can manufacture from this particular cotton. So it's very important to understand that part, and genetically modified organisms are not permissible under the GOTS certification. So this is something which is very, very important. I just wanted to bring it up on this platform. Now, coming to the fact of global recycling. So global GRS, global recycle standards. So as I already spoke about the circular economy, it's getting very important to look at recycling the products, and I think the world over people are trying to do that in many aspects. Be it 100% cotton, be it synthetic fiber, people are going for recycling of the products. I think polyester is being recycled to a large extent. So basically, there is a standard established now, which is called GRS, and GRS is basically certifying of the recycled content and the chain of custody. So basically, again, all these sustainable measures have to be substantiated by some kind of accreditations, have to be definitely substantiated that what we are saying or what we are labeling the product is actually true. So GRS standard is basically in terms of recycling fibers in textile production, recycling metal in metal products. So I think everything in this world can be recycled to some or the large extent. Recycling plastic products. So they are actually substantiating how much of it is recycled. So coming to the gist of it, GRS certification is possible in textiles if we have at least 20% of the recycled material in the product. So if we are saying recycled cotton, at least 20% recycled cotton should be there in the final product. if you have that, you can call it a GRS certified product, but you can yet not use this logo. This logo, which is saying GRS, Global Recycle Standard, can only be used if your recycle content is more than 50%. So that's a fact that is there. So basically, you are talking about more than 50% recycled material, whether it is cotton, whether it is polyester, whether it is whatever recycled part of the product is there, has to be more than 50% if there this logo is present on the label or on the packaging. So end consumer is looking at this right now, and this is going to be the future. People are talking about recycling cotton, people are talking about recycling polyester. A lot of different kind of recycling is happening right now. Coming to the next one, which is a roadmap to change, which is basically zero discharge of hazardous chemicals. Now, this is something which is very, very important. Uh, so when we are into textile operations, textile, everybody knows, is one of the most polluting industries as well, because it uses a lot of water, it discharges a lot of effluent. So how to be aware of that? So there are a lot of things going on that in terms of effluent treatment plants, which came up earlier in the day. The pollution control boards coming up with different kinds of standards and stuff. Now going to finally zero discharge of water. So when we say zero discharge of water, it doesn't mean that you are not ZDHC confirmed. So to be a roadmap to zero, where we say we are zero in terms of our hazardous chemicals usage, we have to be aware that we have three basic things in process in order. The first one is the input of the safer chemicals. So when we start good in terms of the chemicals or whatever we are using to produce our product, the end result is going to be the best. So managing the chemical inputs is very, very important, and inputting safer chemicals or chemicals which are not hazardous is the first thing to do. Going forward, smarter processes, processes which reduce the use of chemicals is very, very, very important. So unnecessary use of water, unnecessary use of dye stuffs, unnecessary use of color chemicals has to be basically avoided, and that's what is also undertaken under this initiative. Better outputs, safer and cleaner outputs, and basically here we come to the zero discharge, where we do not discharge any water or any chemical. Everything is recycled. So this is a very important step which is being taken up by many industries, and I think India is moving far ahead of many other countries in the world, where we are very proud to say that India is actually putting itself on the map to say that we are going towards this kind of initiatives of zero discharge of hazardous chemicals. Now coming to another initiative, which is about conservation of forests. So a lot of products, whether it is furniture, a lot of textiles, particularly the regenerated textiles, which is coming from viscose, or it may be products like Tencel, which is coming from Lenzing, and many other products which are being regenerated from wood to actually extract the cellulose and regenerate it back to textile fibers. This is where the FSC certification comes into place in case of textiles. In case of furniture, I think definitely FSC is very, very important, because a lot of wood and timber is being used. So FSC is Forest Stewardship Council, which actually takes care of the forest in the terms that it audits and it accredits the forest or the captive plantations of the manufacturers who are using the wood. It may be any kind of wood, can be pulp from eucalyptus trees, or it can be pulp from bamboo, or it can be pulp from any other tree, or it may be timber from any other tree used for manufacturing of furniture or any other stuff. They are actually auditing the upkeep of the forest from where the wood is being taken. So brands like Lenzing, or we have Aditya Birla Group doing the Birla Cellulose in India, and many other brands across the globe. They are actually tying up with the Forest Stewardship Council to take care of and accredit them in the terms of how they are actually taking care of the plantations or the forest that they are taking out the wood from, which means that they are taking they are the forest is all the forests are well managed. When we say well managed, it is also very intense in terms of how many trees are being planted back once you cut a tree, how many how you are cutting the tree or the felling of the trees, how is it safe for the people who are doing it, how it is having less carbon footprint, and many other things. So basically they have issued three FSC labels. FSC 100% means that all that wood has been coming from FSC certified well managed forest. FSC recycled label is there, which is like it is being recycled from some or the other resource. So there is an FSC recycled label, and there is a FSC mixed label, where is it is coming from as if FSC certified forest or recycled material or a controlled wood. So basically three kinds of labels, three levels of certifications they have actually put in place. So this is about conservation of forests. Coming lastly to the BCI cotton, which is probably the world's largest sustainable initiative in terms of textiles till now, and I think more than few thousand uh, farmers, ginners, and organizations have already become a part of it. BCI cotton is something which is being talked about across the globe. There were some European customers or European retailers which put initial emphasis on it. However, now it has gone global and people are thinking about it. So, what exactly is BCI cotton? BCI is a global not-for-profit organization. It's basically it's a way of developing better cotton in terms of sustainable practices. So we all know that cotton is a cash crop, and the farmer is obviously lured towards putting more water and more pesticides. I already talked about how much pesticides and water is going into production of cotton, and farmer, when he knows that this is a cash crop and he cannot afford to spoil it, they tend to actually put more, which is not required. So basically this is only one part of BCI. So BCI is an initiative where there are actually the volunteers who are going in and teaching good farming practices to the farmers and getting the better yields and specific aims. So basically four specific aims are there for this initiative, is to reduce environmental impact of cotton production. So cotton production, as we said, that is already consuming a lot of water. So improve livelihoods by bringing better yields and commitment of better flow of cotton, basically, and credibility and sustainability of better cotton. So when we grow a cotton through BCI initiative, is more popularly called as better cotton. So again, they have a complete chain of custody guidelines. So when we say that we are growing a cotton through better cotton initiative in a field which is being properly managed and the better practices are being followed, so how do we accredit that? So basically it starts with the ginner. So physical segregation is there starting from the ginning stage. So this complete supply chain, and then a mass balance administration is done throughout the supply chain. So from the ginner to trader to spinner to fabric mill, cut and sew to the final product, every stage there is a mass balancing administration. So just trying to explain, BCCU is basically a better cotton unit, when we say. So if suppose you are having both kinds of cottons in your inventory or in your process, so you have 2 units of BCCU and 1 unit of say conventional simple cotton, and even if you mix it and you produce again from three of these units, suppose you produce 3 units, so then you can only credit 2 BCCUs only, because you have inputted only 2 BCC units into your system. So you cannot output 3. And how they maintain this is very, very intricate and technical. So basically, we all know that when we purchase cotton and we go through the whole process, there is basically a loss of cotton at every stage. There is some kind of wastages or something. So probably 10,000 kg unit of BCCU will probably yield, if we are going especially for a combing process, it will go to a 78% or 80% yield. So about 7,800 kgs or something like that will be produced as a garment. Rest of it will be wasted. However, if we have purchased 10,000 BCCUs, we will be able to deliver 10,000 BCCUs. And when we say deliver 10,000 BCCUs, it's basically a cotton tracer. So we are going through a tracing system, and retailer can have an account wherein how much of BCI cotton they have actually purchased. So this is the final stage where we have individual transaction output declaration. So the output declaration form, or the ODF, is something which states, like it is mentioned here, it states how many BCCUs can be credited to the account of the retailer. So this is an initiative. If a retailer maintains this kind of an account, they can say that we are basically like we are being sustainable in this term. So this is about the BCI cotton. I think I will hand it over to Deepak now. End my presentation here. Hand it over to Deepak to carry forward on this.
Thank you, Jayesh. Thanks for all this technical information. It's very important information because sustainability is a buzzword right now. Everybody talks about sustainability, and then there's a big confusion also. A lot of people they misunderstand that natural products are sustainable products. So it's not as simple as that. So as we step into this big field of sustainability, the information which Jayesh has shared is going to be very, very handy, especially for the audience that is coming from, the members of EPCH who are into textile business. Lots of people are creative, and they don't know in depth what are the expectations of the international customer. So when we come up with a product and offering to the international market, we need to be sure that we are able to answer the questions that customers will have for us. The standards, certification. Okay, so these are critical things that you need to look into. And sustainability is not a trend anymore. I mean, it's gonna be there now. So one of the questions that came up, I was just looking at the question answer. Somebody asked about what is the cost effectiveness. I mean, there is going to be a cost if somebody is going for the compliances and going for adopting better practices, using materials which are sustainable and adopting methods. So there is going to be an upcharge, but it's not phenomenal. Varying from product to product, I mean, between say about 5% to 30%, we can make sustainable products. And the customer of today and tomorrow will appreciate that effort. So I think our vendor partners have to look at it. Already lots of them are taking this initiative. Okay, so to bring this presentation to an end from our side, I just have the last final slide, so which I would like to finish off in about 5 minutes time, and then hand it over to Mriduji so that she can conclude. So I'll share my screen with all of you.
Fiona, there are a lot of questions for you and compliments as well. So you can have a look at those questions.
I have been watching them come through. There's some fantastic questions, and I have lots and lots I can talk about all day.
Ravaji, you want Fiona to address the questions, or I can? Would you like me to finish off with this ending presentation?
You can.
I'm happy to answer them.
Go ahead, Fiona. You answer the questions. I just need 5 minutes. Whenever you're finished, I will close it. So I'll stop. I'll stick here till the time you finish your questions. Okay.
I'll take 10 seconds of yours, Fiona. As Jayesh explained about various certifications, and he also spoke about the wood certification. So for the information of the panelists, most of you know, and the participants, EPCH has also an indigenous timber legality and assessment verification system, which is called VRICH. And that helps an exporter prove that the wood which is being used for producing handicrafts is coming from legal sources. So that is an acceptable standards, acceptable by 183 CITES signatory countries. So those standards are there in place in the country. So we are the owner of the scheme. Yeah, Fiona.
Okay, so would you just like me to pick out a couple of the questions? I think the ones I'm most interested in is about cost and about cost effectiveness of being sustainable and bringing some of these new initiatives to market, such as where I talked about buying less. Now, that is not about capping revenue or reducing revenue. In fact, it's absolutely the opposite. It's about giving customers more of what they want to buy. It's about incentivizing them to buy better and to invest in key pieces that they believe are actually well made, well designed, very well considered, and not just brought to market as quickly as possible through the most cost-effective manufacturing solutions. I think we have got to a situation in the industry today where there are too many low-cost retailers, and they are producing low-quality goods that customers have been buying and have been disposing of very, very quickly. And I think what's happened during the pandemic is where we have spent more time at home. It's challenged us to think about the products and the home interior products that we surround ourselves with, and to make sure that every time you do buy something, it is really the right thing for your home. It's the right method of manufacture, and that actually maybe it becomes an heirloom piece that can be shared amongst the family. So in no way is this set to jeopardize trade. It's actually about part of my job really is to think how long it really takes to bring a fantastic product to market. And so Jayesh and I work really well together in tandem, because he's always looking at the technical side of actually bringing fantastic product to market, and I'm looking at the creative side. And together we actually think about how we design and manufacture a product that is credible, that is carries inherent value, and that is fit for purpose. And sometimes you cannot just do that in a very short space of time. Sometimes delivering excellence does take longer. And I do think that consumers will be willing to pay for that quality as long as they're aware of the journey that product has been through. So I think there's some very interesting questions in that point. I can also see that there's a lot of questions around natural dyes, and Jayesh will be able to talk much more about the technicalities of this, but from a creative perspective, I think what customers and consumers are looking for today is something that's different. They are so fed up of every retailer internationally buying into the same products, and it's almost a real Me Too situation where all retailers are starting to just sell the same products over and over again. And what I'm being asked for now by so many of our clients at 3S is, show me something new, show me something unique, different, and really differentiated to the rest of the market. And I think when you can bring a new product to market that maybe is made from natural dyes or something different that maybe does come with its own set of challenges, the customer wants that, but they want to understand what they're buying. They need to understand the provenance and the details of that product so that they know what they're buying into. When you're informed, you can make informed decisions. And I think that's part of our job, to make sure that our customers are well versed in what we're selling them, whether it be technical or creative or aesthetic. I think all of those factors really matter.
One of the questions I would like to answer, which came in from somebody who wants to know whether sustainability is a cost. And they want to say that how can we compete in the market with the big producers or big manufacturers, and they still want to be sustainable in terms of their practices. So basically, I would want to comment here that adding sustainable practices is eventually actually lowering down your cost. When I say less use of chemical, less use of water, less use of better yield of cotton through BCI practices. I think everything is actually eventually leading us to a better yield. So it may look like a expense in when you begin with, but I think in the longer term, definitely sustainability is never a cost. In the longer term, sustainability is definitely a saving. So we are talking about less use of resources. We are not talking about more use of resources, which is very, very important to understand. Sustainability is never a cost in the longer run.
Yeah, Fiona, you can go ahead with other questions.
Okay, so I can see there's a question here asking about how long can we expect the preference for natural materials? What about particularly in lighting? I mean, I think it's not necessarily natural materials, but it's the most appropriate material for a particular product that is important to the customer. I'm really fascinated with natural materials, but I'm also fascinated by composite materials and actually fusing different elements together to create a new, even more high performance material. And so when I think about categories like lighting, where you've got quite a lot of very stringent standards that you've got to adhere to, but also then being able to bring an element of creativity in there as well, thinking about recycled glass, thinking about ceramic, travertine, some of the different composites that we will be able to use in lighting. That's when it starts to get really exciting. For many years, I was a lighting buyer at John Lewis, and I remember I loved going to factories and actually choosing all of the different components and assembling products together and finding a new way to make something very different. And I think that's really what natural materials and natural product development is about. It's looking for the unusual. It's looking for something that just is different and is unique. And I think the customer is just tired of seeing the same materials used over and over again. They're looking for us as the creatives and the technical experts in the industry to break the mold and to actually bring something new to the market. I think I've answered most of the questions because there were a few in there about natural dyes, which we've talked about. Recycled metal, I haven't found too many solutions for that just yet, but I think it's a very interesting one to look at and something that we will be thinking about as part of our furniture development. I think it's very much about sort of reconstituting some of those materials. So where we have seen that in textiles and some of the softer materials, I think we've got a long way to go yet in some of the hard goods, but it's certainly on our radar and something that we want to push a lot further. So some fantastic questions. Thank you, everybody. Really interesting.
So I think now we can continue with Mr. Gaba's slides. Thank you, Fiona.
Thanks, Fiona. So we are already like more than 1.5 hours into this webinar. So I'll just go very fast. This slide has been sitting there for quite some time. As it shows, there are a lot of options in these materials to adopt sustainable practices. And there are companies like Ecoliva and Lensing, which are there with the solutions. Rest all, I think everybody's aware of. So I'll jump to the next one. Just 1 second. There's some problem. I think I'll have to reshare again. My screen got stuck. Yeah. So sustainability categories can be applied to bedding, sheet sets, bath towels and rugs, floor covering area, table and kitchen linen, cushions and top of the bed. So that's related to textiles. And of course, with furniture, Mr. Robert talked about the bricks. So since that is not the topic of our discussion today, so I'll not get into that. So now India is open to business for business, and it's a great place, abundant raw material, handicraft centers to state-of-the-art mills, lot of creativity. I really enjoy walking the trade shows in India. a lot of creativity comes from our suppliers, and it's getting better and better. Compliant vendor bases, and lots of factories are getting conscious about compliance. They're taking it seriously. So we have existing vendors. Production centers are operational now with limited manpower and resource, but yes, things have started to move in. Testings are in place, compliances are in place. It's time for the international customers to grab their green spaces for growth. So I would like to invite all the overseas buyers and customers to come and source more from India, join the textile fair, which is being set up by EPCH in the coming week, and find their own growth spaces here. India is beautiful. You'll find cautiousness here, you will find care, you'll find creativity, and you will find competence. In case you need any advice or help further, you are most welcome to get in touch with any of the panelists related to this knowledge session. In case you are looking for information to Textile Virtual Fair, then EPCH is there and helpline number is mentioned. So I would like to conclude the presentation here.